Moving on, Tata Steel has informed the stock exchanges about the impending strike at the UK plant. Joining us now to talk about that is Stephen Kinnock, a member of the British Parliament, and more importantly, he represents Aberavon. That is the area where the Tata Steel plant is situated. He's the MP of that area. Mr. Kinnock, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you about the situation which seems to have reached a deadlock at this point in time. Any hope that we could see a resolution anytime soon?
Well, what I would say is that the Tata Steel steelworks in my constituency is absolutely critical for the economy, for jobs. It's the beating heart of the community. 4,000 directly employed, probably 12,000 through the supply chain. So it's critical that Tata Steel and the trade unions do get back to the negotiating table and find a constructive and positive way forward. My understanding is that Cyrus Mistry, the CEO of Tata Group, has written to the Prime Minister saying that he appreciates how important it is for the steel industry to continue to build and flourish in the United Kingdom, and that he'll be doing everything that he can to get everybody back around the table. So there seems to be some hope of the impasse being broken, but of course it will require the management of Tata Steel to come with some flexibility and in good faith.
Right. We also hear that the unions say that talks are still underway. In fact, that there is an impasse with neither side willing to relent at this point in time. What is the indication that you're getting?
Yeah, I think that has happened, and that's very, very unfortunate. And I think the trade unions came forward with a number of proposals for compromise, some flexibility potentially around the retirement age, around changes to the pension scheme, which would have made it easier to make that shift to a defined contribution scheme from a final salary scheme. So I think the trade unions actually showed quite a lot of flexibility. Unfortunately, that flexibility, as I understand it, was not reflected on the side of management, but I'm very pleased now that we have Mr. Carl Kohler, who is the European CEO of Tata Steel, coming to Parliament tomorrow to meet the all-party parliamentary group on steel, of which I'm a member. It's all of the MPs who have large steel interests in their constituencies, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Mr. Kohler exactly what is now on the table. What we've seen is that there was an absolutely emphatic result in the ballot that was held of the employees of Tata Steel across the country. In my steelworks, 85% of the workforce voted, and 95% voted in favour of some kind of industrial action. So I think Tata Steel now knows that the workers are not bluffing. This is an issue that really matters to them and to their families and to their livelihoods. I think they're making the point that steel is a hard business, and when you've worked for 30 years doing 12-hour shifts and you've made your plans around being able to retire at 60 after very tough physical labour, to then be told you need to extend for another 5 years is a very difficult message for a lot of people to comprehend, and I think also raises big questions about health and safety. I think there are certain jobs in certain heavy industry where you get to a certain age and it's just not right to continue.
Well, that's an important comment you make, that Tata Steel should realize that unions are not bluffing. Now, some time ago, 500 workers were laid off by Tata Steel. Did workers recognize that the company has to do that because there is a limited leeway? Some compromises are necessary, isn't it, given the fact that this is a difficult business and going through a difficult period?
Well, look, I mean, if you go back 15 or 20 years, there were 20,000 people working in the Port Talbot Steelworks. The fact of the matter is that technology has moved forward enormously over recent decades, and that is inevitably having an impact on the number of workers that a company like Tata Steel actually needs. And automation, greater technology, certain aspects of deindustrialization have led to an inevitable decrease in the number of workers. However, I believe that what we have now is an excellent balance in the Port Talbot Steelworks between being lean and efficient and productive, maximising the use of the technologies. I really welcome the fact that Tata Steel has invested in the Port Talbot Steelworks. We have a new blast furnace there, new investment in the rolling mill, great investment in an off-grid energy generator, which is going to save the company something like £25 million a year off its energy bills. So there's a great future for the steelworks. Of course, everybody has to be flexible, and I think the workforce in Port Talbot recognises that some of these big changes that I just talked about have an impact on the kind of requirements in terms of the workforce that the company needs. But what's very important as well is those workers who are there are treated in a fair and equitable manner.
As an MP representing that region, let me ask you, are you personally prepared to step in to mediate a truce to try and resolve this crisis?
Of course. I mean, anything that I can do to help. The steelworks is the beating heart of the community and of the economy that I'm very proud to represent as the MP for Aberavon, and I will do whatever it takes. I personally have a background in business. I worked at the World Economic Forum for a number of years, and I've been engaged with business for much of my career before becoming an MP. I understand how tough it is to compete in a highly competitive global marketplace, but I am also very much seeing this from the point of view of a hard-working and highly productive workforce. I think that the community union, which is the main union for the steelworkers, of which I'm also very proud to be a member, have always been a very pragmatic union and would never threaten industrial action unless it really and genuinely was a last resort. So I'm very hopeful now with this letter from Cyrus Mistry to the Prime Minister and some other developments that are going on behind the scenes that we're going to get a compromise and we can get back to business.
Right, my final question to you, are there other consultations underway behind the scenes that could perhaps augur well for the company and help it resolve this current crisis?
I believe that the management of Tata Steel understands what a very clear and emphatic message that vote, that ballot sent, and it's clear now that there are no bluffs in this game. This is a genuine negotiation, and I think that has had an impact on Tata Steel in terms of the way that they're thinking about this dispute, and I certainly think that the leadership in Mumbai is very keen to avoid this becoming a big political hot potato. I hope now that the management in Europe will listen to the messages from Mumbai and take a more conciliatory approach than they have until now.
Well, we do hope that there is a resolution. Mr. Kinnock, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. That's Stephen Kinnock, the Labour MP of Aberavon, where the Tata Steel plant is located in the UK. Remember, the union has threatened to go on a strike from the 22nd of June.